Hello, hello, and welcome back to Call Your Coven, practical advice for nonsensical times. My name is Bee, my pronouns are she, her, and I am the resident numerologist.
My name is Jeanna. My pronouns are also she, her, and I am the resident astrologer.
And my name is Meg. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm the resident tarot reader.
And welcome to September 2025, which is our 1-year anniversary of Call Your Coven.
Cannot believe that, it's been a year. I mean, I can because this year has felt like a decade, but also it feels like just yesterday that we were all sitting around the brunch table and you were pitching this to us, B. And now look at us. We've been doing it. Like,
Killing
people
it.
listen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, it really does feel like it's just kind of clicked into place in a really lovely way. And now it's like, haven't we always been doing this?
Yeah. And also what a year it has been. I mean, it truly has felt like a decade. And we were just talking the other day about how wildly miraculous it is that we, even though we have changed structure a little bit, we actually have not missed a forecast. We have always released at least 2 episodes a month.
Yep.
So this has been like an easy.
In spite of all of us having major surgery and be literally going through chemo and like a month-long hospital stay. So I don't know what that says about us. That we're like,
yeah, I feel like there's a part where that's great, and there's a part where it's like, oh boy, we all have some thinking to do.
I know. What is the line between like ambition and desire and productivity?
And also, like, yeah, and also just like wanting to keep doing the things that are fun and that keep you sane and that help you feel normal when everything else is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the tagline of this show. Like, it's been really grounding to keep coming to this space and to see both of you and to say, hey, all of this that's happening externally is wild, but here in this little bubble, let's just talk about what we love and what brings us joy and see if we can ease everything, make everything a little easier.
Yeah.
Oh, well, happy anniversary, Call Your Coven.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Cool.
Happy birthday, happy anniversary. All the good stuff. I should pull our chart. I should pull the chart for the show, which I haven't done because I'm a bad astrologer.
No, you're not. But we don't have a September conversation picked out yet. So we could.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we
could pull the chart. I could pull the numerology chart. I don't know, Meg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Anniversary special. Birthday special.
We didn't even mention that. We got married. We went on a honeymoon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got married.
That happened this year. We had
planned a wedding.
We planned a wedding and executed it. We had a honeymoon. We also have had multiple books come out and book deals get signed.
Yes.
Yeah. We could talk about.
I had a book come out in December of last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, all of us have had. Well, you both have had books come out. I've done the new book deal thing. It's just we're all also actively working on other projects that are not out yet. Big year, big creative year for us.
Wow. Yeah. Look at us go.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Whew. All right. And we did all have the same major surgery, which is really witchy.
I think that's adorable, honestly.
It is. It is. Bee shared some lovely things. If you haven't listened to the Creative Craft episode yet, that was our August conversation. Bee shared some really lovely insights from Norse mythology as to grounding us in the major surgery stuff in possible spiritual meetings. So that was really nice.
Yeah. I'm still buzzing. September is also a busy month for all of us. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. We'll see. We all have something going on. In September, I have one last written reading of a summer series that I've been doing of written numerology readings. And the September one is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. It is called 3 Months of Magic. It will be delivered on the fall equinox. And this cosmic kit will provide you with personalized practices, both magical and mundane, for each of the remaining months of 2025. So October, November, and December. And this will be done by weaving your personal numerological holy trinity, the life path number, the public persona, and the yearly cycle numbers with your monthly numbers, as well as days like Samhain, Yule, the winter solstice, and more. So I'm excited to do those.
Awesome. This month is actually less busy for me than August, so I am grateful to have that. But I will be starting up at the last session of the year for showing up to the work, which is a 4 or 6 week. As of this recording, I still haven't committed to a timeline, but it'll be either 4 or 6 weeks long. We meet 3 days a week for 2 hours a day. And the idea is in the title. It's writers, artists of all stripes showing up to the work, being really intentional about whether a day is an input day or an output day. This is the most productivity, like generative oriented thing that I do and that I offer. And so if you maybe are someone who is thinking about the Grove, but it's like, that was more vibey, more like community spiritual space. If you really like have a project that you want to blast through like before holiday season hits, this is the space for you. We've supported a lot of drafting, so I'm really excited for it to get started. And the link to sign up is in the show notes, and also at my website. And it will start September 15th. So
nice. Okay, those things all sound amazing. I am still in post-book launch recovery mode, so I am planning some additional containers to happen later in the year, kind of more like autumn-winter vibe. I'm not planning on any other big courses this year, so rather than telling you about things that I have not launched yet, I'm instead going to direct you, if you were looking for tarot classes specifically, to check out my conservatory program. This has been a super successful program that I've been running now for I think a year and a half,
more than
like
a year.
Yeah. And it's really a monthly subscription that you can sign up for, and it gives you ongoing access to this massive library of the big courses I have written in the past. You also get access to some exclusives that you can only find in the conservatory, including this really robust collection of journaling prompts that I've written for all of the cards in the deck. So if you're interested in building a tarot practice, you really want to commit to that. Or if you're kind of stuck in your tarot practice or sort of bored in your tarot practice and you want some new things to play with, this is a really great way to affordably hang out with all of the different classes that I have. There have some sample syllabi, and I'll also work with you if you want to help you figure out which classes to take. So it's really customizable and really self-paced. So join us in the conservatory. I'll put the link to that in the show notes as well.
It's also a really good deal because if someone bought your classes each individually, it would ultimately, there are so many that it would be like thousands of dollars. And instead you're like
$1,700 or $1,800 worth of courses, or you can just pay $66 a month as long as you want. You can join whenever you want. You can quit whenever you want. You can stay in as long as you want. Sometimes people just do it for a few months. And I have people that have been there since the beginning and are still cranking through classes because that's how many resources there are. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, and September is Vibing with 9, which is all about higher learning and institutions and also courses and DIY syllabi. So if you are looking for a continuing or new field of study or course of study, the conservatory is like so aligned for this.
That's cool. That also makes sense with what you're doing. So I love all of this. Like, yeah, doing great.
I know. I'm going back to school in this, or readying myself to go back to school, which is wild.
Perfect timing.
Oh yeah, because you applied to grad school and that also got accepted, and all of
also
that also happened within this last year.
That also happened. I was writing about that today, and I was like, getting into grad school from my deathbed is the most me-coded thing that
it really actually is. Like, I remember when you told us, and we were like, yeah, honestly, this absolutely checks out.
So yes, but really that starts at the end of the month for me. And this is collective energy, but a lot of how we're experiencing collective energy, at least numerologically this year, is boots on the ground life experience, feeling into these numbers because they are so amplified this year. So a lot of what I wrote down has to do with really working with this number 9, but also this temptation to kind of come unprepared, which is another way of saying there is clear space to work with this month. And so what do we want to do with it? So, and we're in a 9-month, in a 9-year. This is the last of a cycle that's been playing out since January. And then in October, we will get to start this new cycle of monthly numbers, which is wild. And we'll get kind of a mirror of the beginning of the year in terms of 1, 2, 3 energy. So the last 3 months of the year are going to kind of mirror the first 3 months of the year, but now the wheel has spun and we're kind of on to the next. So 9 is really a preparation for what's coming next as much as it is a culmination of what has been happening. So in September, we are really going to learn what this year so far has been about. And we talked a lot last year in the end of the year about embodying our favorite self. And it feels like if you've yet to truly begin to act like that person and embody that person in your day to day, now is the time. 9 is coming with like, it's never too late to learn a lesson energy. But again, the wheel's going to spin at the end of this month. So if you haven't done that yet, now that would be a good practice. If you have, you'll likely get the opportunity to reap some kind of rewards of that practice during the month of September. And that might look different for everyone. But take time here to really reflect on the year so far. 9 is the ending and the all, it's the culmination of what we've been working on. It's also the loss of that which we are and are not really ready to give up. So there could be a lot of grief this month coming up around endings, because it is the opportunity to compost a lot of stuff. And also, like I said before, it's learning, it's community, and of course, it's the 4 words that I explored at the top of the year, the link to which we can put that in the show notes. But my 4 words for 2025 were humanity, service, solitude, and completion. So, like I said earlier, I was really tempted to come here unprepared and just riff. And I even told Meg and Jeanna about it. But 9 energy is very mature and wise and said, absolutely not. So that
yeah, I'm
being
proud
said,
of the well.
I know, it was like, we cannot do that. Maybe in October we'll have fun with 1 energy. But I wasn't really sure what I was going to share. And then I was reminded that while 9 is a mental energy, it is about sharing what we've learned along our journeys and pulling wisdom out of our experiences. So I thought I would do that, especially because while preparing for these episodes, I always get a little sneak peek of what this all might feel like. So lately, and you can hear all of the 9 keywords in this. Lately, I have been cleaning my sacred space. I've been wrapping up half-done projects. I've been finally framing pictures and art and things that have been sitting around that I haven't done anything with. I've been trashing old spell remnants and materia that I'm no longer working with. I've been organizing my thoughts and my space and otherwise kind of cleansing and clearing and sticking with the habits that I've built in I'm talking about my office, but also just in the larger house of like how I'm tending to my home. I've also been preparing a cord cutting spell or ritual for a friendship that unexpectedly and sadly met its end this year. And in a plethora of other ways, I am really just readying the way for my next chapter of life, and also taking time to rest and recover from what has happened to me and what I've been through for the last 9 months longer. So in September, we are wrapping it up. We are celebrating our wins. We are grieving our losses, and we are getting ready to begin again. And that is really it.
I love that so much. When you were talking about like readying the space, like this is the end of a cycle and we are readying the space and all of the cleansing and all the mindfulness that goes into that, I just like kept thinking about a baby nursery. Cause like in that way that it's like, okay, a kid is going to gestate for 9 months, ideally. to, bake to almost completion. But like so much of the work in those final weeks is like the manic, like, is the space for the new arrival ready? What am I building to make space for that which is incoming in a very literal way? And I love that you're doing that with your office.
Thanks. Yeah, my nursery, getting ready to birth all my books.
Yes.
My book baby
I'm
nursery.
really coming with the baby metaphors right now, like, and the kids
Well, but
stuff.
it
But
totally makes sense numerologically, like 9 months
Yeah.
is the amount of time, and
yeah.
this space that you're talking about, it is active.
Mhm.
We are making effort. We are in action now, especially after 8. We've been riled up into action and now we must stay there. But it is a
Mhm.
nesting energy. You know, we have big
Yeah.
hermit vibes of 9 too. So
Yeah.
it is how can I prepare the space? And I think the nursery is a great example of that.
Yeah. Meg, did you have anything you wanted to add before I pick up with the astrology, which of course is weirdly correct with the numbers?
I don't think so. I love the wheel has spun. I've been thinking kind of preemptively about how we're going to be in a Wheel of Fortune year next year, and kind of moving into 10 energy and also 1 energy. And that's always such an interesting juxtaposition with tarot versus like numerology, because with tarot we kind of are pushing those minor arcana suits past 9 into 10, and we have that like double moments of like 1 energy, and it's that will be relevant later, but it just feels very interesting to think about like that preparation, culmination, celebration all simultaneously happening alongside grief. I think that's really just feels very potent given the year that we've all had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, astrologically, it would be a pretty chill month. It is a chill month depending on how you look at it, aside from the fact that we have eclipse season, which makes it automatically not chill. But something B said about like the loss of what we are needing, like having grief for the loss of what we are not ready to give up yet, is very eclipse coded, which we will get into in a little bit. But aside from the eclipses, not a lot of major astrological events, which again, this year has been full of major astrological events. So, like, we're tired. Let's just compost and integrate. The month begins in Virgo season, which I do love. Everyone's going to have a different relationship to different astrological seasons of the year. But to me, Virgo season is peak back to school energy. Obviously, this might be literal for you if you, like me, are a student or teacher, like going back to school in the semester. But I think that, it still is a very embraceable energy for those of us who are no longer in a school system. We've talked a lot, and it's interesting to me because I feel like Meg and I have talked a lot about, like, in the Grove, which is now up and running, about how harvest is the busiest time, like the most exhausting time of a planting cycle. And there is something to Virgo season, in addition to it being like back to school, like gather the supplies, in that way that it is the last sign of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And it is transitioning us from harvest into like fallow compost. We're selling the goods and clearing clearing the fields. Like, we're starting to enter the dying time in September, and it's that last burst of energy before a slowdown. And the slowdown really starts to roll in when Libra season arrives on the autumnal equinox, which this year is on September 22nd, which officially kicks off fall in the Northern Hemisphere. I guess we'll see if our weather reflects that, but technically it will be fall. And so it's notable to me that eclipse season this year will straddle that late summer, early fall line, which really emphasizes the transformative nature of eclipses, just kind of like underlines it 10 times. And also that eclipses are so much about highlighting how we manage or don't manage transitions, how we embrace change or resist change. And on a personal and societal level, that is very, very much something that is up for review. So the first eclipse of the season is the lunar eclipse, which is in Pisces. Lunar eclipse is the full moon, for those at home keeping track. And that comes on September 7th. It is at 15 degrees of Pisces, so folks with personal planets or points in the mutable signs, so Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, it's going to be particularly impactful for you. I would say, especially if you have a personal planet or like your ascendant or midheaven within 5 degrees of that eclipse, especially, it'll be pretty potent. Go slow. Don't push yourself. And then the solar eclipse or the new moon will come on in Virgo on September 21st, and that is coming at 29 degrees of Virgo. So similarly, folks who have very, very late degree placements in those mutable signs, schedule yourself accordingly. You know, on the one hand, we have eclipse season twice a year. So it's every 6 months. It's very predictable. At the same time, eclipse season usually does coincide with some really, really big changes on both a personal and collective level. What I tend to see in my client base is that folks who are really tapped in, who are really in touch with themselves, who are very aware, who are living conscientiously, the issues that come up or that like resurface during eclipse season tend to be ones that you would expect. And they already know what's going on and they're already managing it. It just is like extra loud for whatever reason. Eclipse seasons tend to only be that like whoosh ground falling out from under you if it is something that for whatever reason you have been completely blissfully unaware, sticking your head in the sand about of, you know, again, this isn't to moralize and to say that like if you're being conscientious, then it won't be as surprising. And if you're not, then it will be. But that's just a trend that I do tend to see. So especially for folks who you know that eclipse season is coming up, you journal, you meditate, you check in with yourself on a weekly, monthly basis, like don't freak out. The issues that are highlighted are probably just going to be ones that you're like, yep, I know that this is happening and it sure would be nice to have an end date. So last thing I will say, again, like aside from eclipse season, it's a pretty chill month. There's not a lot to talk about in this overall forecast until we get to our topical cauldrons. But folks who have those late degree mutable placements, so like 25 to 29 degrees of, you know, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces, in addition to the fact that that second eclipse in Virgo is activating your stuff, it'll also be activated already because Saturn will retrograde back into Pisces on September 1st. So people with early degree cardinal placements are getting a break for the next few months. This is also interesting, B, given that you were saying these last few months are sort of numerologically speaking a reflection of the first few months of the year, because Saturn sure is back in Pisces for the rest of 2025. Saturn won't go back into Aries, at which point it will be back in there for good until February, like mid-February of 2026. So these last few months of the year are also very much calling back to those first few months in the sense of, what is Saturn doing in your chart? Saturn is back to wrap up that story and to really put a bow on it. And so, again, folks who have stuff perhaps straddling, you know, the early cardinal, like late mutable sign placements points, be nice to yourself because Saturn's doing a lot.
I'm so curious. I love this parallel. Do you think that this is the difference between the Gregorian calendar year of Jan 1 and like the zodiacal new year of right? Because wouldn't that February date of it moving into Aries is like way
Yeah.
closer to the spring equinox.
I think that this year, honestly, I think it's more math than it is meaning, because Saturn went into Aries in late May,
Okay.
like, which is well in, you know,
Yeah.
into spring. But I also do think there is something, I think I'm feeling more of the like synergy between the fact that like the last half of the year, like numbers and astrology, it's like Saturn is really underlining some stuff, which is also so notable. Like, I don't know if numbers are associated with planets, actually, if there's anyone who does that kind of correspondence work, but it feels very like in astrology, at least in like traditional Hellenistic, Saturn is the ending. Saturn is the boundary. It's the last, it's the furthest visible planet in the sky. And so us being in a 9 year and Saturn like doing a lot feels very, I don't know, something about it feels very synergistic to me.
Totally. Yeah, I think there are people that do that work and there are different lineages of
Yeah.
that. I think in a similar way to like making your own correspondences, I would be curious to see
Yeah.
what my personal correspondences would be if I were to do them or collaborate on them, because I've just found ones that haven't resonated in the past.
Okay, that makes me feel
So
better because I've looked for them before, and the ones I found have been kind of like, okay, like, and some of them I remember. I think the moon is 2 and like Mercury is 5 or something, but I remember being kind of like, I don't know, that doesn't quite make
the
sense
one
to
that
me. I don't know.
strikes me is that because the Jupiter glyph looks like the number 4, it gets
Mhm.
put with
Oh,
the number 4 a lot.
that could not be more.
Yeah, that
I was
doesn't
like,
feel
4
right
is
at
the
all.
container, and Jupiter would
Yeah,
blow the container out of the water. Like, that to
Yeah.
me is a no-go for me.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me
yeah.
feel better because I want them to work, and I'm just like, I don't. This doesn't make any sense to me. So, okay, are we good to move to tarot?
Mhm.
We feel good. Everybody's doing well. We're all going to make it. Okay. So for September 2025, I, as usual, pulled our cards, and as usual, they feel deeply connected to what has already been said, which is always very satisfying and lovely. A reminder that these are not predictive. I don't really read predictively. This is more about a vibe, advice, suggestions, things to pay attention to, things to note. Please do not panic when a card comes up that will make you feel away, because some cards might come up that might make you feel away. And that's why I've been saying this every month since we started a year ago. So, our theme for this month is the Knight of Swords. Now, knights are really fascinating figures in the tarot because they're not newbies, right? We tend to think of pages as like students. Some people like to think of them as children. I like to think of them as interns. I think that's cute.
Oh my
Um,
God. So
but
cute.
yeah, 'cause it's very like, I'm new here and I'm excited to be here and I want to learn everything and I might break stuff and it doesn't matter because I don't know anything. But knights are a little farther than that, right? They're not beginners, but they're not experts yet. They're apprentices is really how I like to think of them. They are people with enough knowledge and experience to be dangerous and to be ready to prove themselves. They're ready to write their thesis. They're ready to go do something wild. They're ready to go show up in the world on their own and do something that has their name on it in the front. Now, sometimes we talk about knights in the tarot as being really cocky or ego driven, and other times we might associate them with adventure. And I like to associate knights with visibility and courage, with really wanting to be seen doing or accomplishing a thing. I think there's this longing for appreciation and admiration within knights, but there's also this real craving for connection and collaboration, an eagerness to not be doing a thing alone, even if there's still also simultaneously a desire to shine and to be admired for doing the thing, which is why I think knights can be a little messy, and that's why I love them. So the Knight of Swords in particular is going to be associated with the element of air. And so we're thinking about the intellect, about communication and information, research and development, big ideas, important truths, and complicated perceptions. And so for September as a theme, this could be a month where you find yourself fighting really hard for a particular truth, either to understand it or to internalize it or to like share it outward or convert people or like help bring people into your way of seeing the world. This could look like, working to make something really visible or wanting it to be more deeply understood by the people around you or by a broader, subset of humanity. But this could also be a month where you have a bit of tunnel vision about your own opinion or your own perspective. Knight of Swords in particular can have this kind of dog with a bone energy of like, I'm sure I'm right and I can't possibly see any other way because I'm very convinced of my rightness. And you might be right, honestly. You might have all the pieces put together in a way no one else has assembled it, but you still have to kind of figure out how that fits into other truths or, how you're going to communicate that in a way that doesn't turn people off from actually listening to you. So this month, my general advice is pay attention, period. Pay attention to what you think you know. Pay attention to why you believe what you think you know. Pay attention to where your ideas are coming from, as well as where your facts are coming from. Where do you get your news? How do you know it's real? How do you understand images? We've got all this AI deepfake generated images, some that are, giving us pleasure, like the bunnies on the trampoline, even though they're not real. The bunnies on the trampoline are not real. But there's also these deep fakes that are actual horrible violations and really disturbing imagery that does not exist. And so I think the Knight of Swords is really about what you believe and what you think is true and what you do with those opinions and those perspectives. What makes you believe something? Which beliefs or truths are you fighting for? And yeah, what are you paying attention to and what does that look like? For our truth card, which I like to pull a truth and a dare, our truth is our kind of internal investigation, something to think about. I actually pulled the same card with a different deck that I pulled last month. So last month I pulled the Two of Pentacles, and this month I pulled the Two of Pentacles. So it's a Two of Pentacles vibe. Last month I talked about a few different potential interpretations of this card. I talked about the how does she do it kind of like superhuman capacity energy that can get associated with this card, juggling a million things at once, handling our responsibilities, standing on business, whatever, as well as the kind of opposite of that, which is the sort of stay in your lane energy of deliberately choosing a few projects or goals to invest in for the long term and trusting that other people are going to be handling the stuff that you're not obsessively focused on. But since this card has come up 2 months in a row, it feels like a bit of a call out. So this is an energy to particularly pay attention to for September, especially if you kind of ignored me last month, which is fine because I also kind of ignored me last month.
I also kind of ignored it last month.
Yeah,
Oops.
we all ignored me last month, and that's fine, which is why the cards are like, bet. But here we are. So what are you putting your resources into and why? How are you spending the energy you have, especially if it's limited? And did you choose to do that? Did you actively decide to do this way? Or is it just familiar or expected or something that you feel like you have to do? Where might you need to really spend some time in reflection about what you're actually accomplishing, especially, again, if you're running yourself ragged or just barely managing to keep all of those plates spinning at the same time? What in your life is really of value to you, and how can you devote yourself to those things with real intention instead of just getting swept along by the responsibilities of it all? We all ignored me last month, so maybe we'll all get it together this month. Okay. And then our dare card is another Pentacles card. The Pentacles have been so loud these last couple of months. Our dare for this month, which is an external challenge, something, a risk to take or something to engage with more actively, is the 10 of Coins, so the 10 of Pentacles. So just like last month, we've got 2 Pentacles cards for our truth and our dare. But last month we had the 6, and for September, we've got the 10. So like I was talking about earlier, 10 is the final card of the story in tarot. So whereas in numerology, we've got this 1 to 9 story, with the tarot, we've got this little bonus card of 10 energy. So we've got it as kind of this final culmination, but also kind of pushing the suit to the extreme. And we've also got this energy of a bridge from the ending that we're sitting in to the beginning of the next cycle. 10s for me are this real transition point or a turning of the wheel is what I wrote in my notes. So as a dare, and this is going to be mean, so I'm going to hold your hand while I say this, the 10 of Coins dares you to trust that you're going to be okay. And if this message makes you want to scream, I'm right there with you. I know, I can see Jeanna looking at me. I'm not looking at you. I wrote in my notes, I'm going to read this. I have had a lot of anxiety lately about my business and money and long-term safety these days. And the tarot loves to give me personally messages like this. And I really have trouble receiving them. So this feels like a very public call out that I'm just going to do with my cards. But the cards really are telling us, I believe, that there is both stability and transition energy here in this month. We have reached a culmination point as individuals, but also as a collective. And something new is on its way to us, particularly in the realm of resources, health, career, pleasure, community, safety, and yes, money. We are in a shift. There is a shift happening and a new journey is preparing itself to arrive. So I dare you to believe that the stability you feel is going to stay with you. I dare you to trust in what you've already built. And I dare you to keep building, to keep dreaming, to keep going. I dare you to honor your hard work and to give yourself a chance to rest, to celebrate your accomplishments, and to share what you've got with those that you love. And that's the tarot. Super chill.
What a gorgeous dare.
Yeah.
Loud, 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 loud.
Mm-hmm. So loud.
It's funny when you were talking. It's so funny. We got the 2 of Pentacles again because this month it also what you were saying and how you were describing it feels very in conversation with the eclipses.
Yeah.
Like, what are you being stubborn about? What are you not owning? It felt very very in conversation with that.
Totally. Well, yeah, because I often think about eclipses as being connected with the tower, like in terms of like an astrological event or something. Like if there's that correspondence for that, I often think of those as linked. And I think what you were talking about with eclipses of like, if you're already kind of engaging with this stuff, if you're actively in there, it's not going to necessarily come as this huge shock. But if you're not actively engaged with it, if you're kind of avoiding it or ignoring it or thought it was done or something, it might be a much bigger surprise. And that's how I experience the tower as well. It's like the tower can actually be super generative, powerful, adventure seeking, like creative energy. But if you're not ready for it and you don't know it's happening, it can be really, really scary and disruptive. And I think eclipses can be the same.
Mm-hmm.
B, you were going to say something and then I started talking.
No, I'm so glad that you spoke first, because I thought this whole Two of Pentacles repetition made me think of something that you shared in the creative conversation about using the tarot to help you narrow your focus and choose your tasks for the
Yes.
day. And we were talking about creativity in terms of there are a lot of options on the table for projects I could work on. How do I choose what's best for me today, or like what's in alignment with the energy of the day? And so opening that up to now more of life than just creativity, it seems like this Two of Pentacles is kind of offering, like the tarot could be a really good tool for working with this energy again, especially if you are not or have not really been showing up. And I think that was some of the favorite self too. It's like, if you haven't been embodying that self and doing what that self would do, this is the month where you're going to wish you were doing it. So like do it. And the tarot can help you to narrow the focus of like, where is my energy best used right now? Because I feel like eclipse season can feel kind of frazzled.
Yeah.
And so if we start to feel that, I mean, the whole month, the first eclipse is on the 7th. So that's really early in the month. So we're right, you know, if we're looking for ways to narrow our focus, it feels like there are tools available.
Yeah, 100%. I think the tarot in particular, I mean, I think any of these modalities can be useful for it, but I think the tarot in particular is really well equipped to answer questions like, what am I already doing? Like, where's my energy already going? And like, and then you get to sit there and be like, is that actually what I want? Or is that just what's happening? Right. And like, make it more of a choice to step into the favorite self or engage with that complicated energy rather than just getting kind of swept along with a current.
Yeah, it also kind of strikes me as like, if we are working with the energy, if we are showing up for what's scary, if we are engaging with reality and life and what's being asked of us at the moment, then it almost has the vibe of like putting something off for 9 months because you've been too scared to do it. And then it actually takes 5 minutes and it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's big. I mean, dare I say, it's big showing up to the work energy.
It is.
Like really big. In that sense too, of like, I don't know, I think about how much talk there is right now of like Gen Z and Gen Alpha avoiding cringe and like not wanting to fail, just really being resistant to failure as part of the learning process, as part of the creative process. And it's like, it's not embarrassing to show up. It's not actually embarrassing to try. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. And I really loved that I wrote down when you pulled the Knight of Swords, Meg, I was like, oh yeah, the Knight of Swords for me personally, it's the writer card. It's the just write, just go to the page, just pull out a notebook, just open your phone, like just do it. It's got like big Nike energy with that.
But that feels correct. It's like trust your ideas and go with them instead of like sitting there and being like, well, I don't know. Do I have proof? Like, what does that mean? Like, no, you just write it down and see what happens. Like, let the words take up space, let the ideas take up space and see what happens. And you can always look back later and go, is that true? Like, is that correct? Is that the whole story? Is that the complete picture? But you got to start somewhere.
The Knight of Swords has big, or just knights generally, I think, have big, like, unearned confidence of a mediocre white man energy. But just in terms of, like, the confidence level that the knights have, not saying anything else about them, but I'm like, that's the level. We need that to generate vulnerable work. So,
yeah. I'm happy to hear it because I am going to be drafting in September. So I'm like, all right, let's take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to be finishing the drafting and shifting into editing and organizing. So that's Yeah. That's the energy right there.
Energy. And I have had a goal for the last few months that I want a draft of my novel done and to my agent by December 31st. Not that she'll look at it for a while, because that's the holiday season and the literary industry publishing shuts down in like late December, early January. But my personal goal is having a draft by the 31st of December. I am not close. So I have to, yeah. So I've just got to embrace the Knight of Swords this month, I think, and get her done.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we cauldron?
Let's cauldron. Yeah.
Let's cauldron. So hopefully 8 and August was a very juicy month for you financially, because in September we're being very mature about our money, but we are also seeing things mature. So this is a good time to check in with your financial ecosystem. Chances are it has changed since the last time we talked, because August was a big money month. This could be all over the map. This could be a net positive, net negative. You fill in the blanks. But this is really the month to do some reflection and maybe some reorientation. If August was not a good money month for you and there were losses, maybe we need to recalibrate some things. It's also a good time to wrap things up. So making payments on things. If you've been waiting to make a final payment, whatever that means, this could be like a really good month to make magic around that. And maybe you are like me and you're seeing the literal manifestation of this energy playing out with things like student loan activity. But whatever you do, set yourself up and your new cycle up for success with the choices you're making financially.
I love that I know I don't look at what y'all have written in our notes for episodes, and then I'm delighted and surprised in real time about how like synergistic it all is. So financially, astrologically, for September, Mercury will be in Virgo September 2nd through the September 18th. And so Mercury, you see Mercury talked a lot about in regards to like technology and information and writing and books, but Mercury also has to do with like local commerce and like money on a very individual level, right? Like trade routes on a very like that go through your town, that kind of thing. So this is a really good time to give yourself an unofficial financial audit and go back and double check things that may have slipped your attention during that July-August Mercury retrograde. Just like make sure you've canceled or adjusted any payments that you were planning to cancel, that kind of thing. Mercury in Virgo is very, very good at making or revising a budget and also at catching financial leaks. So
great. Well, the tarot, as ever, is right on point because I pulled the 7 of Pentacles, which is like, if I had to choose a card from the deck to reflect the energy you two were talking about, that's literally the card I would have chosen. I already said it. Pay attention. The 7 of Coins is a card of evaluation, assessment, and attention. So this is a great time to look at your spending, saving, budgeting, and income. And especially if you've been putting this stuff off, if you've been not wanting to get into the nitty-gritty of how your money is moving around, this is a great time to do a deep dive. It will be very supported, obviously, with the numbers and the planets and also the tarot. And I think also if you've been having a lot of anxiety around money, again, hello, hi, nice to see you. Doing this work might help you recognize the truth of your financial situation instead of just living in the panic or anxiety of not totally knowing. You know, if no matter how August went for you, September is just going to be clearly a really good time to evaluate what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, this is a 7 of Pentacles that's also very 9 of Swords coded.
Yeah. Like, and I get it, you know, like money can be really stressful, and with all like student loan stuff is changing and there's a lot of anxiety around like both individually and collectively, like what's money doing? How are things changing? What's happening with like these various like institutions that maybe aren't going to offer the same kind of support they were. So it can be really scary to dig into that and try to figure out the personal impact of those things. And also knowing is going to be better than not knowing in this situation. So
I will also offer that sometimes we don't look at things because the pattern is just so ingrained. And even if we're doing work, even if you, like me, may be doing work to like fix a lot of your money mistakes in the past, like if you grew up without financial literacy and now you're grown and you're like, okay, I've made a lot of bad choices, and how do I turn this ship around? Like, I just got so used to not looking at my credit score because it was very, very bad. But then I looked at my credit score the other day. It's gone up by almost 100 points in the last few months. And I was like, it was saying like, you have good credit. And I was like, what? Like, so, hey, there's like, sometimes you go and you look at something and it turns out that it's actually a lot better than you thought.
That's what I initially wrote, and then I deleted it to be more neutral. But I was like, sometimes it's not as bad as you think, but when you're afraid to look, it becomes the worst case scenario. And again, this is the Seven of Pentacles. It's about looking at what really is instead of, this isn't about, panicking about what it could be. But I think that when it comes to money in particular, it can feel easier to not look and assume the worst, but sometimes it won't be the worst. Sometimes it'll actually be fine or maybe even good. So take a look at it.
For home, 9 is definitely big hermit energy. And I do think we're all going to be needing our own space this month, but also time with the community and chosen family. So there will be a little bit of an energetic pendulum swing that could be heightened because, again, we're in a hermit month, in a hermit year. But also, if you have been waiting to have certain conversations, or dare I say negotiations, or otherwise make changes in your home life, this is actually a good month to come at things from a mental, logical perspective. So really lean in again to this favorite self and try to enter into any dealings with maturity and grace, and maybe even some of June's work of like assuming best intentions and knowing that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools and information they have at the time. But I do think you will feel this energetic swing in home between like wanting to be out in the living room, so to speak, and wanting to be like in the bedroom or in a sacred space.
So the eclipses will highlight particular areas of life for everyone that are different depending on your rising sign. But there are 2 rising signs who will each have an eclipse highlighting their home, family life, roots, and heritage. They happen to be the rising signs of my co-hosts. So I want to extra highlight that eclipses are going to really bring up home stuff for Sagittarius risings early in the month on September 7th. That Pisces eclipse is landing in your 4th house of home, family, like people, roommates, people you live with, parents, grandparents, caretakers, caretaking. And then Gemini risings, you will have that Virgo eclipse on September 21st in the same house. Be extra kind to yourself, to your loved ones. Take all the space you need is what I wrote. And also I wrote, like, maybe in a very practical way, if it's financially doable, hire a house cleaner to come for just like a one-off to avoid excess stress. Like if there's house stuff that people that are like repairs or things that people are fighting over, like just get it fixed. Just hire, like, just bring someone in, let's stop trying to make it someone's responsibility. Let's get it done and then address the relationship. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds like coming at things from a logical perspective.
It really does. But that is specific to both Gemini and Sagittarius risings. So
Cool. That'll be fine. Speaking of coming at things from a logical perspective, I pulled the 10 of Swords.
Oh my God.
I know. All right. Listen, nobody likes this card. Okay. But I honestly think that the 10 of Swords is pretty hilarious. And I do think it feels very appropriate for what we're talking about here. The 10 of Swords sometimes can show up when we've pushed something as far as it can possibly go, like negotiations or an argument or a, I swear to God, this is your fault, not my fault kind of argument that you're never going to resolve this thing, right? It's always, it actually doesn't matter anymore. And it hasn't mattered for a while. But the 10 of Swords can also show up when we're like throwing a little shit fit about something. And genuinely, it's just like not going to help really. So if you find yourself throwing a little pity party this month, especially around topics of home or with people you live with, remember the 10 of Swords and take a little nap or have a little snack or go for a little walk or go to your room, take the time that you need to take away from the situation. But also while you two were talking, I was thinking again about this 10 energy. 10 of Swords, I know we tend to associate it with that really violent Rider-Waite-Smith, like person laying on the ground with 10 swords in their back, and it just feels very, oh my God, everything's awful. But 10 is that transitional energy, right? So it can also, again, be that kind of eclipse energy of like something is restarting, the wheel is turning, it might be possible that a new perspective or viewpoint or insight is kind of around the corner in the realm of home. So just stay open to new perspectives in every possible way, because it might not just be that you're wrong or upset. That could be true, but it could also just be that the situation itself is actually preparing for a shift, and there could just be a completely new opportunity or change kind of in the works that you just can't see clearly yet.
Cool. I like that. Okay. So for love, 9 is not the sexiest number. But in
Poor
some
9.
ways, what?
Poor 9.
I know. But
Something's got to be with a 6. It can't just be on its own. Sorry, that was low-hanging fruit.
Obsessed. Okay, this is actually the perfect energy to bring into love. Like, the bad intellectual puns is 9 energy. And in some ways, that kind of is the sexiest number, right? But so what came through was it could be a really good month for going on dates that are in places of cultural or intellectual gatherings. So spending time at museums or seeing shows at theater, going to talks, going to community related events. Like if you want to go to queer singles night or even like a queer couples paint and sip, what does that look like? But this could also be a good month for finding like-minded or hearted people at one of those places. So this has big like museum meet cute energy. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Again, we are in action mode. We're putting on our grown-up pants this month. So those in relationships should keep that in mind just as much as those dating or looking, that we are being adults in our relationships, but that it might be fun to have a date night that's a little bit more like intellectually minded.
And if you would like a date for your date night, might I recommend Monday the 15th? There is a very cute little Venus and Leo, Mars and Libra sextile that may make for a really lovely like start of week date night, or a cute little night in for you and your beloveds. Like if you want to have all your friends over for like a faux slumber party 90s night or something, good day for that. And then Venus enters Virgo on September 19th. And I am loath to say it as an ex-evangelical, but Venus in Virgo does have big acts of service vibes. The issue though with it is that like acts of service on their own are genuinely a lovely and beautiful thing to embrace. But with Venus in Virgo, especially for people who have it in their birth chart, there can be this getting caught on but the service must be perfect, but the offering must be perfect, but the gift has to be just the right thing. Like that's very much like perfect is the enemy of good. Perfect is the enemy of done. And kind of that plays into the tendency, I don't like saying like the shadow side, but like a tendency with Venus and Virgo energy, especially when it's being exacerbated by, say, Saturn, which will be opposite Venus and Virgo. There can be this I'm only worth what I can give to others mindset, and we are not staying in that space. I'm going to link some of my favorite guided affirmations and meditations on self-worth and worthiness and all of that and being a bad bitch in the show notes. So if you need like some lo-fi beats and affirmations, I've got you.
I love it. Okay, well, I pulled the Two of Cups for love for this month, which is like the card for new relationships and deepening connections, for choosing to dive deeper into self-love or choosing to dive deeper into intimacy with someone else, whatever your relationship structure, whether you're single, whether you're partnered, whether you're falling in love with your friends, whatever it is. Like this is very choice-oriented energy of I want to dive deeper, I want to know more, I want to see it all, I want to know everything that there is to know about you. And so I want to encourage you to think about, who are you choosing? What are you choosing? How are you being intentional about choosing to engage with someone and also with yourself? What are you extending to other people? Like, what are you allowing other people to drink in about you? And what are you choosing to drink in about them? I think the Two of Cups has this really sweet, like flirty authenticity kind of energy of like, same with that kind of intellectual. I think about like the kind of like banter that you just like kind of can't stop, and it just feels really good and exciting. So there is this kind of early stage honeymoon sort of energy to this card. I wrote, enjoy the flow, but don't surrender your choices along the way. This has big, like, just because the energy is really good or the date is really good or the vibes are really flowing, again, make sure you're choosing it, not just getting dragged along with the current because it's easy or because it's there.
All right, to take us home, or rather to take us to hell, the 9 is big healer energy. So this could be a really great month for making progress in your health journey or simply reflecting on how far you've come, as well as then obviously where you would like to go. But the big message that came through was to celebrate every single small win this month. Like every little bit really does count. And also, if you are still looking for healers, this would be a good time to call them in, but through friends or community. So, like, ask people for recommendations. This is truly the time to send the text that's like, hey, does anybody have a dentist that they like? And be really specific about what it is that you're looking for in a provider or a healer. And think big picture. Don't be afraid, again, to ask for what you need. This is really a month to take advantage of what is available to you, as well as walk away from what's no longer working. So again, we're at a reflection point here. So it's not about inactivity, but it is about intentional activity.
On that note, eclipse season, all about moving with intention, also so much about rest. No matter who you are, no matter what your chart is, rest is a good idea this month. We are not overdoing it. I want to underline that dozens of times. If you have a Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, sun or moon, the sun and moon are called the luminaries in astrology. So when I say the luminaries, I'm talking about the 2 planets that give us light. But the luminaries in a chart are so reflective of our health, of our personal vitality, of how much our energy resources we have access to. And so if one or both of your luminaries are getting lit up by eclipse season, now is not the time to go at 100. Now is not the time to start like CrossFit or to start training for a marathon or, something that is really going to tax your system. Eclipses tend to be very extreme energetically. Some people just have a total crash out. Some people do kind of have that manic sort of high, but that is, of course, also inevitably at some point followed by cratering. So just like make sure your house is stocked with comfort food and protein shakes and easy meals, and all your nice comfort items have been taken out of storage, and just be really kind to yourself. I also should also say, even though those are the kind of placements that I would highlight for this, Libra and Aries risings are both going to have the eclipses happening in their 6th and 12th houses, which tend to also be associated with like something coming up health-wise. The 6th tends to be more physical health stuff, and the 12th tends to be more mental and emotional health stuff. So also, if you're a Libra or Aries rising, just be aware. And again, rest a lot. Eclipse season will be over before you know it. I know telling Aries risings, especially to chill, is like
Like,
that's
LOL.
it. Like, I feel like telling Aries risings and Sagittarius moons specifically, like to chill out, is like that they're not going to like that, but you have to. We're doing preventative care.
Yes, we're here for it. Okay, this is another, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. I pulled the Devil for health, and I know that's going to make some of you freak out, and that's okay. This card can really feel like a jump scare and a panic attack smushed together. But I want to remind you that the Devil, in my opinion, is probably the most personal card in the deck. There are a million ways to read it, which is why I'm writing an entire book about it. There are a lot of things that this could mean for you or indications that it could have for you for this month. So I am going to offer you 2 potential interpretations. I'm also going to encourage you to do some introspection to see if either of these resonate for you, and if neither of them do, to really think about this carefully and think about what the Devil might have for you this month. So again, I'm going to give you two options. The first is that there might be something around health that you might realize you've been actively avoiding this month. A symptom you've been downplaying, or an appointment you've been putting off, or a message from a potential dentist, for example, or therapist, or something that you've been like not answering because you didn't really want to take the next step or deal with it. Please just do yourself a favor and just do it now. Just deal with it this month instead of hoping the thing just magically goes away. Your future self is going to thank you. The other option is that there might be kind of the other side of this coin, which is there might be a part of your health that you were holding on to so very tightly, and could benefit from trying to release a bit of control. So I'm thinking about like obsessively counting every single calorie, or tracking your steps to a degree where it's causing you like harm, or like pushing through an injury because you just can't stop moving, or things like that, where this could also look like panicking about a slightly elevated test result that's still actually within the norm for you, or leaving 100 messages for your doctor when this maybe isn't even really a medical issue. Just the ways that we can really fixate on things. That is another popular common aspect of the devil. It looks like instead of having released control and not wanting to look at a thing through avoidance, this can be the gripping onto it super, super tightly and trying to control every aspect of it. So if that feels more like you, if there's this sense of like hyperfixation or obsession on controlling an aspect of your health, this could be a good month to practice letting go of that a bit. And I really like how you both mentioned, like, relying on other people, resting, taking care of yourself, and asking for kind of second opinions or asking friends for help. Part of the reason the devil can be so scary is because the devil functions very well in isolation. At least the like more negative, scary aspects of the devil really function in isolation. So don't isolate yourself. If you find that you're falling into a behavioral pattern in any way around your health, tell somebody and see if you can get some help, or just get some support, or just be honest about it, because that can really probably go farther than you realize in terms of turning that around and making sure you're okay and you're healthy and happy. So I know that's a really intense note to end on, so I wanted to see how you're both feeling.
I feel okay about September. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunity. Everything that you both have shared has, yes, been reflected in the numbers, but also it feels personally resonant to me as well, of like just having a month where the calendar looks a little emptier than it has at all this year. And there is time to rest. There is this, at least for me, like a month between treatment and starting something new. So for me, it's a little on the nose, but I feel collectively kind of positive about it. It just feels like there's a lot of space.
Yeah. Space is really a key word that I would not have thought going in, but there is a lot of room to just kind of take your time. It feels very unrushed. Like, is the other piece, I think. Yeah.
Which is nice, because time has felt really fast lately.
Yeah. But also that callback to the beginning of the year, because I'm like, Q1 was slow. Oh my God, it was a slog. So, and this doesn't feel sloggy, but it's definitely a slowdown from like the clip we have been moving at from like April to August.
Yeah, it feels very like setting something down and like either picking it up or like thinking more clearly about what we're setting down and what we're starting to look ahead for. I really like this like sense of transition that it feels like we're really seeing. Yeah, I feel good about it.
Yeah,
Same.
tentatively optimistic about getting a lot of writing done.
Here's hoping.
And not just because of like productivity, but because like it feels like, oh, there might be space to to really spend time with it and to really make progress in an intentional, like slow and steady kind of way.
Hoping for it. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, as always, throughout the month, you can find us online at callyourcoven.com. You can email us at callyourcoven@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at callyourcoven. You can also find us on Patreon at callyourcoven. We do still we're rocking that $5 supportive tier. I think this year just continues to be really full and busy, but it's important to us to keep gathering and offering these episodes. So we really thank you for all of your support as we as we keep going. And either of you have anything to add to our sweet, sweet coven?
No, just a lot of love. Thank you for listening to us for a year.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been such a gift. And we have discussed trying to do something with the Patreon for the 1 year anniversary. So check that out, because if we are able to rally and get what we want to get going over there, that will be where we announce it first.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out, because we do have plans for the Patreon, and we so appreciate that it is there and that y'all been rocking with us. So
Totally. And we'll see you in a couple weeks for our little impromptu anniversary episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
See you soon.